Okay, take one. Let's go.
Congress decided that pizza was a vegetable because tomato is a fruit. It's a true story. It's a true story.
All right, take two. I'm Dr. Stephanie Rolin.
And I'm Dr. Alicia Rolin. And if your week has been anything like ours, well, it's been a long week. And you might have a lot of questions.
Robert F. Kennedy cares more about human beings and health and the environment than anybody. And I'm going to let him go wild on health. I'm going to let him go wild on the food. I'm going to let him go wild on medicines. The only thing I don't
Alzheimer's coming from the same cause that's causing the diabetes, which is food. It's poison food. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
Carrie Lake's an Arizona Senate candidate.
Well, even things like SPF, we're finding out. I've never felt comfortable when you look at the bottle and you see all those ingredients and then you go, wait, you want me to slather this on the biggest organ in my body? I worry about a lot of it, not just the food, but the chemicals in our products, the chemicals in our water, shampoos, all of that stuff. When you start looking at the ingredients, you're like, why do they need all of that? And what is that? So I think we need to look at a lot of that.
As we listen to the news, we're hearing stuff about fluoride, vaccines, raw milk, chelating compounds. The list just goes on and on.
Enter Rolling Forward. Each week, we're going to provide some science-based parenting advice to help guide parents through this next administration and the potential changes we might expect to see as it relates to kids' health and well-being. We decided to do this because in addition to being medical doctors, we're also grant-funded researchers. We have over 30 years of combined experience with specialized training in public health.
And pediatrics.
And psychiatry.
And research.
And the law.
And reproductive health care. So in this show, we're going to focus on the science and the facts as new health policies become unveiled.
This show's also not intended to be medical advice. It's general guidance about parenting. We believe that in order to make the decision that is right for your family, you need access to the science. Parenting is not one size fits all, and what's right for my family may not be right for your family. And that's perfectly okay.
That's right. So this show isn't about telling you what to do. It's about sharing the science so that you have the information you need for your family.
And this week, we're going to start by tackling a question that we've been hearing over and over from the parents in our lives. How do I talk to my kids about this election?
How do I talk to my kids about this election?
Well, first and foremost, what I always say to anyone who asks me this is that you need to take care of yourself.
So like when I had more mac and cheese this week than I've had in the past year?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We went to spin together and I didn't really want to go to spin in that moment. I was tired and I wanted to keep sitting on the couch and have some ice cream. And there's a time and a place for that as well, but we decided to go. But after we got up and went, I definitely felt a lot better and I felt more ready to have these kinds of difficult conversations.
And I felt like I had to work off the mac and cheese.
A lot of people are having strong emotions after the week that we've just had, and you need to make sure that you're in a space where you're feeling okay and ready to talk about this. And if you're not feeling okay in that moment, ask your child to come back to it later and then do what you need to do to take care of yourself.
There are a lot of different ways that you can take care of yourself, and there's no right or wrong way to do that.
Sometimes when you're a parent, especially a parent to young children, it can be hard to make that space for yourself. So now is a good time to ask for help from your village. There are people around you who might be interested in helping out, maybe providing a few hours of childcare so that they can also feel that they're doing something purposeful and meaningful so that you can take the time to take care of yourself.
The second thing that I think is really important is to be open, honest, and transparent with your children. They're like little sponges. They really pick up on your emotion and how you're feeling. And it doesn't mean that we need to mask or hide our stress. It's actually an opportunity to label how you're feeling and teach kids that it's normal to have a whole range of emotions. It's also important to meet your kids where they're at. For younger kids, it might be explaining or comparing to other kind of events that they understand in their life. For example, remember when you were really sad when you lost the soccer game? Mom is feeling really sad right now because of something that happened in the government. For older kids, it might be getting into a little bit more of the weeds and having a little bit bigger discussion about the election and what the results mean for you and for their life.
It's okay to tell kids that you're worried or overwhelmed or disappointed if that's how you're feeling. And it's good for kids to see you have those experiences and name those emotions. And seeing adults manage disappointment helps kids build their own resilience and confidence. The third point that we think is important is to assess what kids know and don't know. kids are getting information from so many places.
Most of them you haven't even heard of.
That's so true. There's all these new websites, social media, different ways that kids are communicating and information is getting passed around. And sometimes this information isn't true.
Nicki Minaj's cousin's brother's ex-boyfriend's testicle. Anyone? Anyone?
And information just gets passed around kids, so it's really good to assess what your kids know, what they don't know, and where they're getting this information from.
We see a lot of misinformation online and a lot of factual information that is presented in a skewed perspective or presented in a way that doesn't have the full details or the full facts. And it can be hard to interpret those. And an important part of this is making sure that they have access to good information and that they have sources that they can look to when they have questions and when they want to look for information. Some resources that have been really good for our family have been magazines that are targeted directly for kids. Things like Times for Kids or The Week Junior. These are magazines that are designed with kids in mind to help them explore and learn more about the news.
These magazines do such a great job of discussing complicated topics, and it's not limited just to politics. It includes things about health and science and sports. There's a range of news in there, and that way your kids will have a source of information that they can turn to and learn about the world from.
But there are also a lot of other free resources online. Just make sure that your children have access to reliable information that state the facts.
So when starting a conversation with your kid, ask them what they've heard about the election, ask them what they're worried about, and ask them where they're getting this information. So in addition to making sure you're taking care of yourself, being honest with your kids, assessing what your kids know and don't know, our fourth is keeping consistent routines. It is so tempting during times when we're feeling overwhelmed or stressed to let kids stay up late, let them play a little bit more video games, have the extra dessert. And although in the moment that may be the easier thing to do, the reality is that routines really help kids stay focused and stable.
Without the usual boundaries, the world can seem like a really scary place. When all of a sudden you don't have the same bedtime, you're not going to the same place every Saturday, the world becomes a large unknown, and it actually causes more destabilization for kids.
It's so true. You know, kids, they know the world through their routine, and when they can rely on the routine, it can feel like they can rely on the world.
You can also seek to give power back to kids by engaging in new activities, things like volunteering, writing letters to Congress. Civic engagement can be big or small. It can be campaigning door to door for a local candidate, but it can also be choosing out 3 outfits that don't fit anymore and finding a new home for them.
Helping a neighbor, writing a letter to a Congress member, it's something that can give kids power back.
Civic engagement is a way to rewrite the narrative, and so children can understand that they're disappointed or they're frustrated, but they can work to improve the future, work to kind of change the things that they were disappointed with.
So that's our guide on how to talk to kids about the election. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you're honest with kids, assessing what kids know and don't know, keeping your consistent routines, and then seeking to give them power through some type of civic engagement. Please send us any questions or topics you'd like for us to address in future episodes. Alicia, what's on your mind for our next episode?
There's been a lot of discussion in the news recently about vaccines, about the Department of Education and
so much about the Department of Education.
There's a lot of misinformation and information about fluoride in the water.
If you have something you want to hear about, send us questions at rollingforwardshow, that's ROLIN @gmail.com. Thank you so much. I'm recording now. What would you like me to do? Oh my God, you have the cutest photos of us.
I know, that's why I'm sending them to us.
Thank you. Oh, cute there. Where were we? When was that?
We went to Macbeth in Stride. Okay.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about it yesterday. I was just talking about that yesterday. Okay, what did you want me to talk about? Are you recording? You're not recording.
I'm not recording because I can't look at pictures and also record.
I think you can. You just have to start the recording.
My brain can't do that.
Oh.
Okay, my phone can't do that. My brain.
We look so good.